So a lot of our customers ask us about how exactly the moss is affecting their roof. And so what happens is the moss starts to grow, and it grows in between the shingles. And then the moss acts like a sponge. So when water hits the roof or hits the moss will absorb that water, and then some of that water will leak out through the moss into the house. So it essentially acts as an avenue for water to get from the top of your roof inside of your home. So a lot of our clients have noticed that we consider roof cleaning and moss removal two different services. And the reason that we do that is because our process for those looks completely different. So for any loose debris, so that's pine needles, leaves, pine cones, things like that, we're able to just sweep or blow those off the roof and then clean up afterwards. Moss has a pretty different process since it grows pretty much into the roof. And so the only way for us to fully clean something like that is to use a wire brush and remove all of it by hand. So it's just a lot more labor intensive, and it makes sense for us to break those up into two separate services. So a lot of our customers ask us how we actually get the moss off of their roof, and all of our moss removal is done by hand. So we're never going to pressure wash your roof or you do anything like that. So typically we will grab any large chunks of moss just by hand and then clean up the rest with a wire brush to make sure we're able to get everything that is growing in between the shingles. And then after that, we'll put down an application of our moss preventative treatment to make sure it doesn't come back. With regards to pressure washing roofs, we're never going to pressure wash your roof, and we would recommend that you don't let any other service providers pressure wash your roof either. The only exception to that is going to be if you have a metal roof, in which case pressure washing is going to be the most effective way to clean it. So the moss treatment that we use is a white powder. It's actually made by a company called Dalco that operates out of Linwood. And the way it works is by changing the pH level of your roof. So it just slightly raises the pH level. That makes it a little bit too high for moss to survive up there. But it is, by the time it makes it off the roof, it is diluted to the point that it isn't harmful to any plants or pets. So it's completely plant and pet safe. So a lot of our clients ask us if it's okay to schedule moss treatment if they're expecting rain that day. And a little bit of rain actually helps the moss treatment work even better because it helps spread it all around the roof and dilute it quicker. The only time we would need to reschedule is if we get a uncharacteristically heavy rain for Seattle, because in that case it would wash the moss treatment off too quickly. So a lot of our customers are asked how long they should expect our moss treatment to last. So for most customers, our moss treatment will last about a year, so you can just get one annual application of moss treatment. For some customers, particularly those that have really heavy tree coverage or have a lot of shade on their roof, we'd recommend doing moss treatment twice a year, so once every 6 months. So a lot of our customers ask us if our moss treatment is safe for their plants or for their pets. And so our moss treatment is 100% plant and pet safe. The only exception to that is if you have gutters that drain into a rain barrel or drain into an underground garden bed. In that case, that can lead to a really, really high concentration of our moss treatment ending up in wherever it's draining into, way higher than it would be if it was just draining out of normal gutters onto the ground. And so in that case, we'd recommend disconnecting that from your gutter system before we operate, just to make sure you don't end up with a high concentration of moss treatment in any of those. So a lot of customers will see green staining on their roof as opposed to physical moss growth. So it just sort of looks like the shingles are turning green as opposed to there's plant matter growing on them. So that's algae. It's really common. And it does sort of the same thing that moss does to your roof by allowing water to pass through it into the roof. For green staining like that, we wouldn't actually do a moss removal because we can't remove the algae without stripping the shingles. So in that case, we just do a heavy application of our moss treatment that would kill all the algae that's up there and take care of everything your roof needs, as well as brightening it up a little bit.